Most shooters waste 80% of their range time without even realizing it, and I was one of them until I figured this out. But why do we find this type of training to be so difficult to formulate on our own? A lot of shooters burn through box after box of ammo with no real improvement, and I know because I used to do the same thing on my day-to-day range trips. The problem isn't effort, it's not having a system. Without a clear training routine, you're just making noise at the range instead of actually getting better. Now, many years later, I formulated my own training routine that I find to work well for me and a few of my friends who also partake in improving in their shooting abilities. So in this video, I'm gonna go over how often I think someone should train if they're looking to improve their marksmanship with pistol and rifle. Before we get too far in this video, I do wanna let you know that if you're just getting into firearms training, I do have an ebook called the Fundamental Range Day Guide. And within this document, I put a lot of drills that you can run at an indoor or outdoor range. So no matter what condition you're in, you're able to train. So if you're looking for a way to improve in your shooting abilities, definitely check out this ebook because I made it very simple to read and easy to comprehend. So if you're interested, the link will be down below in the description. But that's enough talking, let's get back to the video. I want to preface that what I recommend in this video is what I would consider the bare minimum. If you want to train more or you can afford to train more, then do it. I'll never say you can't train extra days, but as someone who has limited with time and money, I found this routine to work well for me and my lifestyle. So definitely make adjustments if you need to. Now, why is training so important? For obvious reasons, it helps you hone in on a skill set that is heavy in the depreciation category. Shooting is something you need to routinely do in order to maintain your acquired skill. I always see a major difference from when I'm training regularly and when I'm forced to take a break due to life events. But because of this, I found ways to mitigate that time off so that when I return to the range, I'm not as rusty. But what I'm trying to get at is you need to be training as often as you can. If this is something you really want to do, then you need to make some room in your schedule to work on your craft, similar to the gym. Now, for most of you, I'm assuming you're wanting to improve in your pistol work. But for me, I really enjoy shooting pistol and rifle in a competitive space. And after a few years, I found that my training split looks something like this: 80% pistol and 20% rifle. This may sound very imbalanced for a lot of people, but I find it to be the perfect blend for keeping my improvement ball rolling. So why am I training pistol 80% of the time? This is due to a number of factors. The first one being that it's simply a lot cheaper to train pistol over rifle. Pistol ammo in general comes in larger quantities versus rifle ammo. You can get a box of 9mm with 50 rounds for about 11 to 14 bucks versus getting a box of rifle ammo of 20 rounds for the same price. And this matters further down the road because that difference in cost really starts to accumulate quickly. I also like to train pistol a majority of the time because unlike rifle, there are a lot more nuances involved when trying to shoot a pistol accurately. With a pistol, you only have 2 points of contact, and any deviation in those points of contact can drastically affect where those rounds go. And learning how not to add input takes a long time to master. This is something I continue to work on till this day because some days I'm adding too much input and it's causing my rounds to deviate left, right, even up and down. But then there are other days where I'm not putting enough input and the gun is moving within my grip. Simply put, there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to shooting a pistol, and it demands a higher level of thinking and practice to master these skills. When training pistol, the main fundamentals that I focus on are grip and vision. Grip, like I explained earlier, consists of keeping a very consistent grip, removing external factors while shooting. And then I work on vision to maintain target focus so that I'm not getting distracted by the dot and throwing my shots. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm a huge fan of shooting doubles. It's a great drill and I'm always learning something from it. Okay, so we know why I train pistol 80% of the time, but what does a typical range day look like? Funny enough, my range days aren't the most insane compared to other shooters. My round count per range session can range between 150 rounds all the way up to 300 rounds. And I typically go to the range and train once a week. I'm not going to say I'm the best shooter out there, but I am proficient and capable. And this is something I am regularly testing when I sign up for matches, but we'll talk about that later. But just because pistol training is my main focus doesn't mean my rifle work is neglected. It's still a very important skill and will need some dedicated time to improve on. But if I'm being honest, rifles are much more forgiving when it comes to inefficiencies. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of fundamental skills you need to learn for rifle shooting. But handing a rifle to a new shooter and getting them to hit a target at 100 yards is a lot easier than handing someone a pistol and trying to get them to hit a target at 40 yards. With a rifle, you have 4 points of contact versus a pistol's 2 points. And this allows users to have much more control over this weapon system while firing. Hence why it may feel easier to shoot a rifle. Another reason why I shoot rifle less than pistol is due to cost. Like I explained, having a 300 round rifle range day is a lot more expensive than having a 300 round pistol range day. We're talking about nearly a $100 difference. As of right now, I can't fund extensive rifle training days, so I typically stay around that 100 to 150 round count when I'm dedicating time to my rifle shooting. But for rifle, the main fundamentals I work on are pretty much similar to the pistol fundamentals, minus one recent addition. What I work on is how I mount the gun and not adding input or switching things up when shooting. But recently, I've been trying to incorporate more positional work. So I mentioned that I typically go to the range once a week. And I also said that shooting is a depreciating skill. So how can I justify only going to the range once a week knowing that my skill set can depreciate over that time? So in order to maintain my current level of shooting, I have to resort to something called dry fire. I know a lot of you already know this, but I really want to explain this to the one person that may not have heard what dry fire is yet. Dry fire means practicing with your firearm without using live ammunition. Instead of firing real rounds, you pull the trigger on an unloaded gun to rehearse the mechanics of shooting. It's one of the most common training methods in competitive shooting. And this is because when you dry fire, you're able to work on your trigger control, sight alignment, draw stroke, reloads, and target acquisition. Dry fire is popular because it's free and can be done anywhere. But whenever you decide to dry fire, make sure you're removing ammo from your immediate vicinity. I cannot express that enough. Though it's a great way to train on the daily, you still need to treat it as if it's a live firearm. Follow the safety rules of firearm handling and make sure you're training in a safe space. A lot of the top shooters spend far more hours dry firing at home than they actually do with live ammo on the range. But do remember, dry fire does not replace live fire. You still need to live fire because nothing can simulate the marksmanship you gain from shooting live rounds. Okay, so for the routine. Like I said, it's an 80-20 split that leans hard towards pistol training. And I'm also incorporating dry fire in the mix. So what a typical week may look like for me is I dry fire either in the morning or in the afternoon, and then I have one range day either during the week or on the weekend. But if my schedule allows it, I'll do more than one range day a week. On my range days, I will start with a cold start standard. Right now, I'm really enjoying the Achilles Heel Tactical Dope Drill. After I finish my cold start and recorded my results, I will do a few minutes of drawing to first shots at about 10 to 12 yards. I typically do this 10 to 20 times because I really want to get that draw stroke locked in. Even though I do this with dry fire, I find that with live fire, we can be a bit hesitant to move at the same speeds. So I try to work that out before beginning my training session. Next, I'll move on to doing a few doubles. Mind you, this isn't the bulk of my training, but I look at it as like a warm-up before I really get to what I'm trying to do. It's kind of like working out. You don't just walk into the gym and try to bench your max. You warm up, stretch, rep some lighter weights to wake up your muscles and to check on your form before putting in the real work. So I check my marksmanship and grip first so that it's less of a factor when I start running my exercises. Now about after 50 rounds or so, I start to work on whatever I feel like I'm lacking in the most. And this is usually determined by how I performed at my last match. Some days I work on transitions while static, and other days I might work on transitions while moving. When it comes to range training, this is where you really have to coach yourself. I can't tell you to do A, B, and C just to get better, because I haven't watched you shoot, and only you know what you're not good at. And this is where a lot of people plateau because they don't want to work on what they're not good at. You have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone if you want to get better. And for a majority of people, stepping out of their comfort zone means signing up for a competition. When it comes to matches or competitions, I think a lot of people start to overthink it. People will typically adapt the mindset that at competitions, everyone is out for blood or is overdriven to win. But I couldn't express how wrong that is. For the most part, People are just there to have fun and to shoot. There are people that take it very seriously, but casual competitors definitely outweigh that small group. By casual, I mean people that are still trying but don't over-obsess over every little detail. I love shooting competitions and I push myself to get better, but if there's a bad call or I disagree with the ruling, I just keep it pushing because I'm there to test out what I've learned and how to learn from others. And you'd be surprised to know that there are a lot of people on that same wavelength. They just want to have fun and push themselves in the process. Now, shooting matches has a ton of benefits. You get to see your cold performance and your processing abilities. You also get a lot of feedback on what you need to work on. And I can't tell you how many times I've been given tips about my form or technique that furthered my skill progression down the line. But in conclusion, this is how I set myself up for improvement when it comes to shooting. I challenge you guys to build out your own training routine, or better yet, sign up for a match this coming week. And then give me the reasons why you actually built your training schedule out that way. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.